Our movie begins at the train station with a school field trip, going out to learn about the importance of trains in our daily lives. The guide was explaining to them that the train they were about to board is called the Dream Train because of its incredible speed. He tells them it's the latest model and can travel from Tokyo to Hokkaido in just 4 hours. He also showed them the parts that connect the cars together. Mr. Taka continued the explanation and asked the students to move and get on the train. Before boarding, they decided to take a group photo in front of this high-speed train. At that moment, Mr. Taka was getting ready and saw his colleague Fuji, who told him he would be the head supervisor for today's trip. The train arrived and everyone started boarding. Among the passengers were a high-ranking member of parliament and also a famous writer. The trip, which seemed peaceful at first, suddenly turned into a disaster. In the control room, the employee Mia received a strange call. She was just asking the caller what type of trip he wanted to book when he shocked her by saying he had planted a bomb in the train Hayabusa 60 heading to Tokyo. He warned her that the bomb would explode if the train's speed dropped below 100 kilometers per hour. He added that this type of bomb is similar to one that was previously placed in freight train number 2047. After the call, he hung up. They immediately contacted a Mori station's manager to warn him. But before they could finish the conversation, the other train exploded because it slowed down as it entered the station. Instantly, everything turned upside down, and people rushed to the scene. This accident reminded everyone of the old train incident, number 109, which happened in the exact same way. Then, they began alerting the other stations that the bullet train was in danger. Tsuki quickly moved to take charge and ordered his team to disable the automatic control system and switch to manual to keep the speed above 100. He also ordered the evacuation of all stations the train would pass because it wouldn't be able to stop. They started executing the plan and called Matsu, the train's captain, and told her about the bomb and that she must keep going without stopping. She was still in shock, but Tsuki intervened and stressed that she must follow the orders immediately to save the passengers' lives. They disconnected the automatic control system and informed all supervisors of the situation. At that moment, Tsuki asked Taka to tell the passengers there was a minor technical issue and they wouldn't be able to stop at the next station to avoid panic. The passengers were enjoying the moment and completely unaware of the disaster unfolding. But once Taka informed them, some people started to worry, while others said, whatever. Elsewhere, all the security agencies were mobilized, and the investigators began preparing emergency plans. Suddenly, a call came in from the bomber, demanding a huge ransom of 100 billion yen. The demand was clear: pay before the train reaches Tokyo, or disaster will strike. When they objected and said that amount would be hard to collect, he suggested that every Japanese citizen pay 1,000 yen, and the problem would be solved. He ended the call with complete arrogance, leaving them in shock. At this point, the government officially stepped in and sent the Prime Minister's advisor, Sasaki, who confidently stated that they should not give in to the criminal. He said this is a real test of their strength and asked them to inform the passengers of the bitter truth. Of course, this decision was extremely difficult for everyone involved. Taka did indeed inform the passengers, and that's when chaos erupted. Screaming, fear, people crying. It became total madness. At the same time, the Prime Minister held a press conference and announced that there was a terrorist criminal on the train, but without mentioning the ransom. Strangely, the bomber called again and said, "Clearly you don't intend to pay. Wait and see what happens." But this time, Sasaki responded with strong words, saying, "You won't get a single yen, and as we say, do your worst." He hung up, furious. Unfortunately, the government couldn't locate the source of the call. Suddenly, the bomber posted a video online detailing the bombs and their locations. confirming that he wanted the 100 billion yen in exchange for instructions to defuse them. The officer ordered his assistant to bring the file on the 1975 train accident to look for similarities that might help them. On the train, the fear was reaching its peak. People were screaming. Some were developing phobias. If the train stops, everything will explode. Then the second disaster struck. On the train's route, there was a junction with a broken train, and repairs would take a full hour. They considered switching to the North Line, but unfortunately, there was another train there. They quickly changed plans and rerouted south. They had exactly 5.5 minutes. They prepared the emergency plan and informed Matsu, the train captain, of the new route. Taka asked the passengers to fasten their seatbelts and lower their heads. At the moment of the switch, there was slight friction, but thankfully the train continued. Amid all this, one passenger had a smart idea: to start a live broadcast and alert the passengers that they all need to help in raising donations for the ransom. They actually began broadcasting and calling for help, but anger was rising, and people started accusing the government of negligence, recalling past disasters caused by carelessness. A new problem occurred when one passenger recognized Captain Goto, a former pilot involved in a past incident that caused many deaths. A violent fight broke out between him and the passengers. Taka had to intervene quickly to save Goto from the crowd's rage. Amid this chaos, one woman felt guilty and pressed the emergency button. The alarm went off loudly. No one could bear the noise and crying, and Taka shouted at them to calm down, saying they didn't need more headaches. He went to speak to Matsu and reassured her, saying the passengers were just frustrated and had nothing to do, so they were taking it out on each other. Suddenly, a call came over the microphone, asking if there was a doctor on board to save Goto before he died. In the control room, Matsu told Taka she was about to stop the train when she heard the distress whistle. At the same moment, Sushi came to apologize to Taka for pressing the button without permission. But Taka comforted her and said, "You did the right thing. The man was about to die." Elsewhere, people were brainstorming for a solution when someone suggested a crazy idea. What if they disconnect one car from the train and move all passengers into 2 cars away from danger? Sasaki, as usual, rejected the idea and wasn't convinced, but no one listened to him and continued with the plan. They informed Taka, and everyone was thrilled. Finally, some hope. Taka asked if there was an electrician among them, and the strong woman Shiwana immediately slapped her husband and said, "Get up, man. This is your chance to prove yourself instead of sitting like that. Aren't you an electrician?" Fuji began directing people to move toward the other cars. They brought the 2 trains close, tied ropes, moved equipment, and the maintenance team began working. They managed to disconnect the car, and Taka finished the job and disconnected the links. Indeed, they successfully separated the car, but the joy didn't last. The car exploded. Turns out the bombs weren't only in that one, they were in the other cars too. Fear returned, and Kasagi started looking for another plan. Kasagi suggested they transfer the people to an entirely different train car. They actually found a nearby train, numbered 6050. They connected the 2 cars and started moving people. But here, everyone became selfish. No elderly, no children. Everyone rushed to save themselves. Suddenly, Goto had another breakdown and started attacking everyone around him like a madman. On the other side, Yuzuki discovered that one of her students was missing. She decided to go back to the train with the bombs to look for her, accompanied by Ms. Kajami, Todo, and Ken. When they arrived, they found Goto acting like Superman, destroying everything to escape. Kajami stood in front of him and firmly said, "Man up already. This is your chance to prove you're a decent human being." She explained to him that people might forgive his past if he could help now. While they were talking, the train shook and the hallway connecting the cars began to collapse. The speed was also strangely decreasing, so they had to disconnect the cars before disaster struck. The passengers quickly tried to cut the wires, But suddenly, Fuji got injured. An iron rod pierced his shoulder. The cars collided violently. In the middle of the chaos, Miss Yuzuki found the missing girl hiding and terrified. At the same moment, Taka was shocked to see his friend bleeding. The cars were smashed badly, and this news reached the control room quickly. They learned that around 340 people had been saved, and only 9 remained, among them, the train crew. Sasaki was overjoyed, acting as if he had saved the entire planet. He asked them to repeat the same rescue plan, but his hopes were crushed when he was told the system couldn't handle another adjustment. They also informed him that time was against them, and they needed a new solution. Sasaki asked about the scale of the disaster if the bombs exploded, and he was shocked to learn it would be catastrophic. He said the train must be diverted away from residential areas at any cost, then left without solving anything. Meanwhile, the remaining people on the train were lost and unsure of their fate. Todo discovered that donations were decreasing since people found out only a few were left. Kajami bluntly said, "The government won't let this train enter Tokyo. The losses would be massive." Everyone realized they had to stop the train by force. Taka tried to reassure them, saying, "It's impossible they would sacrifice us." At that moment, Yuzuki went to talk to her father, and Taka got a brilliant idea. "We'll find out in a bit." After everything, Sasaki came up with the idea to sacrifice the remaining 9 and be done with it. Of course, that sparked a major fight between him and the others. In the middle of all the shouting, Taka's phone rang. He was informing them about his great plan. But to execute it, the government had to approve it first. Sasaki was trying to redeem himself and said, "Go ahead with the plan. I'll take care of getting the approval." Meanwhile, Tosu Tomo was talking to her father while on the bullet train, speaking with total disrespect as if she was just on a casual trip, not in danger. And here comes the big shock. We find out that her father was one of the people who worked on the 1997 train case. She told him, "Looks like the criminals are back, and I've become their target." Her father got angry and said, "I'll prepare myself and finish them off." And then came the real bombshell. She told him, "You still believe you solved the case back then?" Then she dropped the bomb. "I'm the one behind everything happening now." Of course, the man was in disbelief, but she kept going and told him, "I found out the criminal back then actually killed himself, not like the lie you spread to make yourself a hero." She added that she sees him as a brave man because guilt drove him to do that. When he tried to deny it, she told him, "Look in your trophy cabinet." The moment he opened it, boom, he was shocked to see a bomb, and the whole house exploded. She then ran off to rejoin the group. But that's not all. She even called emergency services and said, "I'll tell you how to defuse the bomb." Everyone around her was stunned and couldn't understand anything. She continued and said, "I killed my father with the same type of bombs that are on the train." When they asked her why she was doing this, for money, she coldly replied, "I've already taken what I wanted from life, and I've avenged the one who ruined mine." The real disaster. The bombs were linked to her heartbeat. If she died, all the bombs would deactivate. And indeed, a message arrived on her phone, confirming that the bombs were now deactivated. Then she hung up and left them speechless. On the train, she told them calmly, "If you want to get out of this, you have to finish me off." The leadership had to continue the rescue plan. Everyone started doing their part with full force. As for Goto, he decided to kill her himself, saying, "She's no more important than the others who died." But everyone refused, except for Dodo, who wanted to get rid of her for his own benefit. A huge fight broke out between them. Meanwhile, the lieutenant was investigating the old case and discovered that the girl's father was indeed a liar and actor who believed his own lie. Then they confirmed everything Tosu Tomo had said. They began thinking about how the bombs were planted on the train a day earlier. During all this, Yuzuki was very sad for her because she had been following her and knew how oppressed she was by her father. Tosu was insisting she had to destroy this fake reality people were living in. On the other hand, they found Tosu's old social media posts, all full of hatred for fakeness and lies. They noticed someone named Kisudo had liked all her posts and found out he worked with explosives. Turns out, Tosu had asked him to make the bombs. When they reached him, they discovered an even bigger surprise. He was the son of the man who committed suicide in the 1997 train incident. On the train, Fuji's condition was worsening, and he was begging Taka to save them. But the girl was done. She told him, "Finish me off already." Taka couldn't do it. The control team tried to reconnect the tracks, but failed, and had to tell Taka to try and save lives, even if it meant killing Tosu, but he still couldn't. Instead, he hugged her and cried because he felt her pain and the injustice she suffered. In the investigations, Kisudo confessed everything. He said Tosu's father mistreated her because she was a girl, just like he did with her mother. He added that during the train incident years ago, her father was supposed to arrest the criminal, but the man died from guilt, and her father took advantage of the situation to paint himself as a hero. That's why Kisudo helped Tosu take revenge on her father. Then they were able to find the exact locations of the bombs in the train cars. Kasagi warned, "I hope you're ready for the shock." They planned to detach the first 6 train cars to save the rest of the people. They began execution. On the train, passengers were securing themselves with pillows around the seats to soften any impact. Taka told Matsu, "Come with us. The danger is all in the front cars." But the poor woman couldn't let go of the controls out of fear. Taka helped her, and they strapped themselves in, bracing for the critical moment. Then, impact. The 6 cars exploded. The remaining cars were rattled and flipped until the train finally came to a stop. Rescue teams arrived just in time and managed to save everyone, thankfully, with no human losses. When they took Tosu aside, they asked her, "Do you feel any regret?" They told her not all people are bad, like she thought. There are still good people with consciences. In the end, Taka went to check on her, because humanity, my friend, is never divided. But that doesn't mean she shouldn't pay the price for what she did. And with that, our movie ends. Subscribe for more videos like this, tap the bell icon, and don't forget to like the video, as it will help to reach more good people like you. Thanks for watching.